Welcome to the final whistle. Southampton are off the mark in the Premier League after securing maximum points against Burnley. Myself and Steve are joined once again by Dean Hammond and Adam Leach. Looking pretty happy there, gents. What's your overall assessment of the game today?
I thought it was a very professional performance, very, very disciplined, but a performance which actually carried an attacking threat as well. Not too many clear-cut chances, but playing on the front foot. I think the manager and the players got the game plan completely right. They pressed the Burnley back four. I'd like to see the stats on how many times the ball actually went back to the Burnley goalkeeper, because the amount of times they pressed and they chased the keeper down, which made him play under pressure, so couldn't get that quality ball forward, especially in the first half. So yeah, a really composed performance by Southampton. Really enjoyed watching the disciplined performance. Wasn't the most exciting game. There wasn't that many chances, but very, very good. And, to go to Burnley and control the game, to win 1-0, for Danny Ings to get another goal. Enjoyed the partnership Shay Adams and Danny are creating. So I'm glad I got that one wrong, predicting that Shane Long may come in. But no, a good performance and, a brilliant 3 points. That's 3 games now, and I think they've put a different performance there from the start of the season, where it's been creative. It's been attack minded. That was a full, complete team away performance. So yeah, great to get the 3 points.
Adam, you must be pleased. Perhaps it's that you're not at Turf Moor this year. We know you've normally been freezing up there. Maybe it's your being at the comfort of your own home this week. Maybe
that's it. I got a message from a few friends in the Saints camp actually before the game, telling me it was freezing. They were missing me because it was absolutely freezing cold up there, as it always is. And thank you all for pointing out my correct prediction as well.
Well done, Adam.
Got the noodles there. But joking aside, I mean, obviously, I think the kindest thing to say is it's not a game that's going to live long in the memory, but it was the result they needed. And I speculated before the game, maybe this was a good time to play Burnley. The injuries they've got, a lot of very good players. In fact, I would say the majority of their best players all missing. And so it proved, really. I don't think Burnley, honestly, would have scored if they were still playing till Monday morning. And that's partly their deficiencies, but also how well Saints played as well. The early goal, I think, really probably changed the game, because at that point in time, Saints knew they didn't have to chase anything. They could kind of sit and contain, which they did a lot in the second half, and they did it very efficiently. And Burnley offered no threat. There was no need for Saints to be more expansive than they were. They had the lead. I'm sure they could sense that it was highly unlikely Burnley were going to score something without either some incredible piece of magic out of nowhere or a Saints error. So they took advantage of that situation. They sat tight. I'm sure that they were as confused as the rest of us as to why Burnley made no effort to change things up, even though it seemed like they were not going to score and equalise. But who cares if you're Saints? Don't win up there very often. So a really good 3 points and properly up and running now. And that's a confidence boost. As we said before the game, you would take a sort of a lesser performance to get some points on the board. And that's what happened, even though I say a lesser performance, it was just a very efficient performance. They just didn't have to be kind of exciting attacking today. They just had to do their jobs and do them well. And that's what they did.
Yeah, talking about Danny's early goal, Dean, how big an impact did that have on the game with it coming so soon into the match?
Yeah, big impact. Like Adam said, it will definitely set you down as a player. If you can get a goal early, it gives you that belief. It gives you the confidence, especially for the away team. It means you don't have to chase the game so much. You can sit back a little bit, soak up some pressure, keep possession a bit more, don't have to go forward every time. So getting an early goal was a real positive for Southampton. And I think it was just an excellent professional performance. The structure and shape of the team was really, really good. I was really impressed by the 2 centre midfield players today. Very calm, very controlled on the ball. took extra touches when they needed to, got themselves out of positions when it was tight to create another pass and change an angle. From an ex-player going away from home, I could see the quality in the performance. Like Adam said, it wasn't that exciting. You wouldn't be glued to your seat watching it. But getting an early goal away from home, especially against the Burnley team that are not haven't got their full strength team, haven't got all their attacking threats, a real positive. So a great start.
Adam, we'll talk about Shea's role in the team in more depth in just a moment, but we need to give him a shout out really for the assist for Danny's goal as well, don't we, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, he played a pivotal part in that, and Kyle Walker-Peters as well. I mean, it was a really well worked goal. I mean, the finish itself, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it, where you say if you're a striker and you're on form, you kind of scuff your finish like that and it goes in the back of the net. If you're the guy who's desperately searching for a goal, that inevitably doesn't go in, that kind of touch. But the build-up was, it was magnificent build-up. And Burnley, to be honest, they were just outclassed. Saints outclassed them in that moment. And a great cutback from Shea. And again, we've talked at length about the partnership between the two, and I think again we saw glimpses today of what they can do. And in fairness to Danny and Che, they definitely worked tirelessly, I would say, up there in terms of closing down, giving the Burnley defence very, very little time on the ball to look up and kind of try and pick diagonal balls out or balls over the top to try and cause Saints problems. So they really kind of defended from the front and also showed a bit of quality in a vital moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's Danny's third goal of the season already. Dean, how good is it to see him keep his hot streak running on from last season?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's great for Southampton, and it's good to see him happy. He looks fit and strong. He's full of confidence. He's just a natural goal scorer. You can see when he sees an opportunity or he sniffs out thinking there could be a chance that the ball could come across the box. He sprints, he works hard to get into them positions. He makes lots of runs. He's an intelligent player. I mean, today, especially first half, he was making runs in behind to stretch the defence, and then he was coming into the hole as a number 10, getting on the half turn, receiving the ball, running at the back four, trying to slip Shea in. So, a really, really good performance from him, and to have 3 goals already to continue on his form from last year, staying fit, looking strong, and he's looking really, really quick. And the thing I love about him as well, he's a brilliant individual player, but he's such a good team player as well. He does his defensive duties on defensive corners. He runs back, he tackles. He looks like he's smiling. He's speaking to the other players to motivate them. He must be a joy to play with. And, when he's scoring goals and he's a team player, he's worth so much value to the team. So another excellent performance from him.
Well, let's hear what you guys are saying at home. Lots of happy fans, as you can imagine. Chris, good evening. He's watching on Facebook. He says, well, that was a much needed 3 points. Helen has left us a comment. She says, sometimes you just have to grind out a win. Well done, lads. Damien has said, what a win. Just what we needed. Come on, boys. Rachel Lloyd has also got in touch and said, phew, that was pretty panicky at the end there, but our boys saw it through. Up the Saints. Mark, hello to you. He's on Facebook. He says that was a great professional performance. Another comment here from Catherine. She says, yay, 3 points and a clean sheet. I love you, Saints, through the good times and the bad, as do we. Richard's also left us a comment here saying the ball is now rolling. Well played, lads. And Josh has also said, I called it a win today. Got to say, we played well. So lots of happy Saints fans.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Kenzie, obviously you said a little moment ago that we were going to talk about Shea's performance. Now, Adam obviously got an assist today, but what exactly is his role in that team?
Well, I think at the moment he's probably still trying to find his natural role, but he's got to be the foil for Danny. There's no point in him trying to be Danny and take that role. Danny is the main man. He's scoring the goals. Shea's job is to support him, and that means probably put in a lot of legwork for him, trying to create space for him, being able to be a hold-up man because he's a big physical presence, being able to be a target man because of that as well. And then it's also very important that he then contributes goals. Having Danny should take the pressure off him, really, because the way that Danny's scoring at the moment, who knows, fingers crossed it continues, but if Danny's going to have another 20-goal season, Shea doesn't need to be a 20-goal striker this year. He needs to help Danny get to that total, and then he needs to contribute himself maybe 10, 12 goals, a bit more if possible, but if he can score that kind of level of goals, that's great. But right now, it's his all-round performance and the things he's doing to help Danny that maybe go a little bit under the radar, and maybe people would obsess about his goal-scoring record a little bit more. But for me, he's playing really well, and looking at the two of them as a pairing, I think that's key, because you can't just isolate Danny's success as if that is just Danny. That is a team effort, but also Shea is a pivotal part of that. That's the reason that Danny's able to score so many goals. He's not doing it on his own. And I think that pairing, to me, it still looks exciting. And I still believe that Shea will come good with that kind of level of goals if they keep faith with him this season. Yes, he needs to get a bit more clinical himself. I think we would all agree on that. But it's a good pairing and certainly one worth sticking with.
Well, let's talk about Vestergaard now then, who obviously came into the side for today's game. Mike and Mandy Duncan left us a comment on Facebook. They said, I thought Vestergaard played brilliantly to keep Woods quiet. He really did. How did you rate his performance, Dean?
Very, very good. I think his selection was justified. I think it was a good selection by the manager because of playing against Chris Wood, who is a physical presence, very good in the air. Makes good runs and is an attacking threat in the box. But no, very, very strong, was dominant. Actually looked very composed on the ball as well. I think he made some very good decisions in possession. But defended well and did the basics well. And I think that's when a defender gets the plaudits, when his clearances were good, his headers was good, his positioning was good. He kept the ball simple when he had possession. And I think he led by example, and he just made the back four a little bit stronger today for that particular game. And I think it was quite evident that he didn't allow, or the two centre halves didn't allow the fullbacks to attack so much today. I think they would have reined them back and been quite vocal and communicated them to not to make too many overlapping runs and to keep their shape. So that's what I mentioned before the game about communication, just being dominant and being clear in that, we're 1-0 up. Let's attack when possible, but when we need to defend as a shape and as a team, we can stick together and be compact. So, no, good performance from him. I enjoyed that, and I think it was a good decision by the manager for this particular game.
Now, Adam, before the game, we did speak about Gineppo and maybe he would have had a point to prove today. Do you think he did that?
I think he did, actually. It's not what he did today is not necessarily the first thing you think of with Moussa Gineppo. You think of him as being in the team for being exciting, a flair player, attacking, running at people, his pace in behind. But actually, he showed a different side to his game today. He showed he can be very committed, hard-working, and more than anything, disciplined. He had a role in that team, and he stuck to that role. And he didn't let that slide. He worked very, very hard, very tirelessly. If you were being ultra critical, you probably thought there were a few moments where he could have unleashed a little bit, especially with Bardsey on a yellow card. You kind of felt he could have got at him a few times, and perhaps he was a little overcautious. But in fairness to him, I felt like that was probably just because he was trying to do his job. I'm sure it had been drummed into him what a game at Burnley is like, what is expected of him, the discipline that Saints would require to win. And he was trying to deliver that kind of performance. And I think he did that. Yes, not spectacular, not kind of one of those, that's what you pay your entrance fee for, but just disciplined. And I think that's a good trait for him. And it's good to see that he has that side to his game, both the mental and concentration capacity, and then the discipline to carry out for the entirety of his performance.
Looking at tactics then, Dean, do you think that high line that we spoke about pre-match seemed to work better today? Yeah,
I think it did. I think the back four were compact. There wasn't many gaps in between to slide balls through. They were very aware of the direct ball, so their timing was good. And I think it helped that the front four especially, they pressed the fullbacks and they pressed the centre backs. So I mentioned it before, the ball went back to the Burnley goalkeeper a lot, which then was chased down and they had to play under pressure. And the two centre midfield players as well for Southampton didn't allow the two Burnley centre midfield players to get on the half turn, to try and play forward, to slip them balls through, to be creative. So they were playing sidewards and backwards, and I think that was the difference. So when the ball did come forward, the timing of the defenders' headers, retreating runs to intercept the ball were excellent today. So I don't think the high line was as high today. I think there was more space, but I think they were aware of the longer ball. So no, the tactics worked really, really well today by the team, and I'm sure the managers worked on that all week. So yeah, very disciplined performance.
Yeah, and another talking point from the game seemed to be Chris Wood's goal that never was. There was quite a bit of confusion around that because the linesman's flag went up and the referee blew before the phase of play could finish off. Adam, do you think it was the right decision looking back on it?
Well, I think they came to the right decision, but just in the wrong way, according to the laws as they are right now. I mean, the linesman obviously should not have flagged for offside until that sort of phase of play had come to an end. I appreciate it must be difficult because assuming that I'm assuming this, but assuming the linesman's been a linesman for a while, it was probably just an automatic thing. He saw the offside, the flag went up. I imagine he probably thought as the play went on, oh heck, I wasn't meant to put my flag up then. But it was almost probably an automatic thing when you see it. The game went on. Obviously, the whistle did blow, I think, as well, which is a curious thing because the referee should have at least spotted that was a mistake. But in the end, I think that the angles that we were able to see on TV did clear up the fact that even though it was close, Wood was offside, and so the goal was rightly disallowed. They just sort of came about it in what is technically not the correct way anymore. So I mean, I guess they have to tighten up on that because if he puts his flag up at some point and the guy's onside and it ends up not being a goal or it ends up affecting play in some way, then that's a real problem. They kind of got away with it in a sense because the decision was actually correct. So in the end, it didn't really matter.
Well, let's jump back on our socials now and fly through a few more comments. Mr. Mystery on YouTube, love that name. He said, we defended our way through the match and I'll take that when I thought we'd lose 2-0. Should have listened to Adam. Mark Littlewood on YouTube said, Vestergaard was good. Romeo was man of the match for me. Really solid. Gunther on Facebook said, this win should give the team some self-confidence. Andrew, good evening. He said, such a relief to get our first 3 points and start moving up the table. Andy, hello. He says, Burnley were very under strength, so good time to play them, but great 3 points regardless. Ryan Scott on Facebook said, great performance from the boys, onwards and upwards. One here from Steve, thanks for getting in touch. He says, great win, but needs some more attacking depth in midfield. Thought Romeo was immense defensively though. A couple more here. Tony said, great performance. Our season has truly started. We march on. And a final one for now. Stephen on Facebook has said, good morning from Australia, guys. Come on, you Saints. Well, good evening from Southampton.
Yeah, those are happy fans there. Dean, now Michael Obafemi and Nathan Tella, they came on with the side 1-0 up with 15 minutes to play. Is it good to see Ralph bringing on attacking subs and also showing some confidence in the youngsters as well still?
Yeah, 100%, especially in an important game when the team's winning. I think there's 15-20 minutes left to bring on 2 younger players and 2 attacking younger players as well shows real trust and real confidence in them to come on and deliver the tactics he would have given them. It looks like he encouraged them to come on and take hold of the ball, take responsibility of the ball, to still be creative, still be attacking for the team, but within a disciplined manner. So they would have learned a lot from that. The youngsters coming on, it's more Premier League experience for them. It's an experience of playing at Burnley, which is a different type of team in the Premier League. So really, really good for that. And I like the manager. I really do. I like the way he thinks. He's very forward thinking in giving the younger players more experience. The philosophy of the football club is to try and bring younger players through, and he's given them real life experience. He's given them real life Premier League experience of when the team's winning 1-0, they're under a bit of pressure in a different type of game, and he still trusts them to come on and deliver out his instructions. So good for the player, good for the club, and good for the manager.
Dean, I want to stick with you for this one because I'd like to get your thoughts on how much of a relief is it to get that first win under your belt at the start of the season?
Yes, it is. You always want to get that first win, always. As soon as you can get a first win, points on the board, it does give you a little bit of relief. It definitely builds confidence. It definitely builds belief. So as a player, you might not talk about it too much, but you will feel a sigh of relief just because you can look at that table and there's some points on there. But I keep saying it. I think that the team's been playing okay this season. They've had some really good moments, and the front two are really exciting. I like the formation of the football club. I like the way the team plays in the attacking sense. I like the way the manager thinks in that he wants to win games. So getting the first 3 points is really, really important. It kickstarts your season. You start looking forward. You start looking forward to games as well. And I just think, I know Burnley had a lesser team out today, but I think Southampton just showed they were a class above Burnley. And, when they play against Tottenham, the Chelsea's, the Arsenal, it's always going to be a challenge. But I think Southampton are above that, the lower end of the Premier League teams and should look up now. So it will really breed confidence, and it's always nice to get that first win.
Yeah, I know it is early days, but we were bottom of the league before kickoff. Adam, how important is it that we don't get caught down there like maybe we have done in previous seasons?
Yeah, that is really important because, I wholeheartedly agree with Dean. Southampton are not, for me, a team that should be anywhere near or worrying about relegation this season. But that said, you have to earn that right by getting the results on the board, not just being a team on paper or a good manager. And they've kind of been guilty of struggling a lot at the start of seasons, and that has caused them angst as the season's gone on, and then they've had to extricate themselves from the position and then try and move towards more of where they probably should be. And last year we said that the season was kind of terrible and then great. It was a weird season where they played in these strange spells. And this year, the key for them, if they're going to be hopefully a top half table team, or at the very least kind of one of those that's in and around sort of 10th, 11th, 12th, is consistency. They can't expect to just pick up all their points in a few months at some stage. They need to consistently pick up results. And that means trying to get themselves into those kind of middle of the table or upper middle of the table positions early on, and then fighting from there rather than having to play catch up. And that's why this result and the 3 points is so big, because it sets them up to have another go before the international break in a winnable game. And they're up and running earlier in the season. If they can just kind of try and retrieve that feeling of momentum again and have that positivity, then I still think there's every chance they could have a really great season this year. It's only a couple of results before now. We all said on here, don't panic. It's way, way too early to worry about it. You've also got the last bit of the transfer window. The manager has said they're actively chasing new signings. He's made that abundantly clear. If they bring in a couple of good players as well, then I think we can keep feeling really positive for this season.
Well, before we come to you on your thoughts on West Brom next week, let's take a final look at what the fans are saying at home. Love this comment from Dilly Fung on Facebook. Danny Ings is so special, and that cheeky cutback from Shea was delicious. So happy with the 3 points. Love that. Sebastian on YouTube has said absolutely massive performance from Vestergaard. Richard, hello, he's on Facebook. He says the ball is now rolling. Well played, lads. Josh on YouTube has said, I called a win today. Gotta say, we played well. Julian says, feels so good to get a win. Come on, you Reds. And Sam McGee has left us a comment saying, Romeo was solid and my man of the match. So they're feeling pretty content with the performance this evening, Steve.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, Kenzie, our next opponents are West Brom. Dean, what are your thoughts on this one? Are you going to be making any wholesale changes to the team for next week?
No, not at all. I think it's it's a good game to have after a good win at Burnley. For like Adam said, if you can go into the international break and have 2 wins under your belt, 6 points, I mean, that would be fantastic. West Brom are a good team. They've got some momentum from coming up, and they look like they're going to try and attack the Premier League. They've scored 3 goals today, but they've also let 3 goals in. So, and Southampton have got excellent forward players, create chances and score goals, and have got one of the best strikers in the league. So if we can be defensively strong again, like we have been today, keep that compact shape and create chances, I think it could be another win for Southampton. And that would then has turned from, we felt as though we wanted to get some points today, and then by the end of next week you could have 2 wins, 6 points on the board, going into an international break and feeling that momentum, feeling that good feeling around the football club again. So this is amazing how football can change within a week, within 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to the game, but it'll be a tough one because West Brom look like they're going to play on the front foot and try and attack teams. So there could be a few goals next week.
What about you, Adam? How do you see that one going?
Yeah, I mean, I think there will be goals. I think it'll probably be a bit more entertaining, but yeah, I think if it's all ifs and buts still, but if you look at the possibility of 6 points, if you just said when the fixture list came out, that first little block of games, if you like, what would you want to get from it? I think you probably would have said, well, if you drew your 2 away games, Palace and Burnley, and you got a win against West Brom, and you probably lose to Tottenham, that's 5 points. Yeah, you would probably take that. 6 points is obviously better than that. Probably the best you could have hoped for, realistically, is you probably would have said, well, best case scenario, maybe we've got 7. So if you go into the break with 6, I think you're extremely happy, and I think that's what Saints really have got to focus on. There's stuff to work on, for sure, but there's a lot of positives to take. And yeah, you put the team out again, another game playing together. They're obviously getting better together, and you also try and, if West Brom are going to attack, actually, that probably suits Saints better. I still think that suits them. If they can play sort of defensively as they did today, but then play a bit more on the break, as it were, with, the pace of Gineppo's, the creativity of Armstrong, and then the front 2 that they've got, there's goals for them in those games. If teams attack them, for me, those are the games where they're probably going to do best. So, so I think every reason to be optimistic.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us again, for all your knowledge and insight. It's a massive win for the Saints tonight and our first 3 points on the board for the season. Do join us again next Sunday as West Brom travel to St Mary's. It's a midday kickoff for that one. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you then.